Hello and welcome to a new episode of the Seriously in Business podcast. Before I get into today's episode, I just wanted to stop because usually I just roll straight into all the content, but I just wanted to say thank you for being here. I so appreciate every single one of you who listen to the podcast or watch us on YouTube. Us, I say me, watch me on YouTube, and I just really appreciate you listening, being here, for any reviews that you're leaving, any comments that you're leaving, any follows that you're doing. I just really appreciate it. It makes doing all of this a little bit more worthwhile, knowing that it's helping people and that it's actually, helping you to grow your business and to feel proud of your designs and your business's graphics. And so thank you for being here. If you don't know me, my name is Jacqui Naunton. I am a graphic designer who specializes, in teaching business owners how they can create their own incredible brand and graphics. Because when you have an incredible brand and graphics, you're going to be attracting more clients, you're going to be making more money, and you're going to be really, really loving your business and loving creating graphics for yourself. Because I don't know about you, but a lot of the people that I speak to, they are feeling held back in their business by putting themselves out there and by doing and creating things because they just don't know how to create things. Say, for example, they've got a great idea for a freebie they want to do, or a great idea for a social media series they want to do, but they just can't actually create the things. And so I love that I get to teach people how they can create the things so they can put their business out there and it actually can draw in business for their business. And that's actually a bit of what we're going to chat about today. I want to talk to you about how you can use design to make you more money in your business. And I'm going to step you through the 4 things that I go through with every single one of my clients that is really important that they nail each one of these steps. And I hope that this will help you to nail these steps for yourself as well. And remembering that you don't have to do this stuff alone. If you do want help with your business's graphics, I do teach people, I do work with people one-on-one in a group setting to do this. And so what I mean by one-on-one in a group setting is I actually have a group coaching program called the Co-Creation Club, which is currently got its doors open right now. We start on July the 17th. But what it kind of is I work with you and I get to know your business and your brand a little bit, and I help you to DIY your own graphics, but you don't do it alone. I'm helping you the whole way. I'm helping you pick out your color palette. I'm helping you choose the right fonts. I'm editing your designs with you and for you. So we kind of have this one-on-one time within a group space so that we're all learning off each other, but you still get dedicated me time. So it's not just, general things about general stuff and here's a course and go have fun. I'm actually getting to know you and your business. And so the stuff that I'm teaching today is the process that I take all of my clubbers through. That's what I call the people that join the Co-Creation Club. And I wanted to give you a bit of an insight into the different things that I have to make sure that we step through to make sure that design is actually working for your business. Because the thing is, design isn't just about looking pretty. Design isn't just about people going, oh, that's a beautiful looking business. No, design is about communication. It's about communicating your value. It's about communicating your expertise. It's about communicating your point and what you actually do to help people and encouraging them to go from seeing your business for the first time to purchasing from you. And design has the power to really help you with all of those different steps. So that's what we're going to chat about today. Let's dig in. Okay, so the first thing that you can do to help your brand make you more money is to really think about this consistency across every single touch point. One of the first things I look at when I see a new business is looking at their consistency. Are they really thinking about their customer journey? And what by customer journey I mean is, where is a client or a customer first coming across you? Have they heard you from a friend and they are now stalking your Instagram? Has someone handed them a flyer? Flyers are more dated now, but people are still using them hands down, especially for more in-person services, flyer or Instagram, or they found you on a Google search, or if they've seen a Facebook ad and that's their first point of contact, and then maybe they go to your website. What is that first step in the customer journey for you and your clients? Think that through first. After you've done that, I want you to then consider, what is the rest of that journey like? I think a lot of the time we focus on that first step, but we don't actually think about nurturing our client the entire journey. So maybe they see an Instagram post and then they might come to your page and they see your full grid. What are they thinking when they see that full grid? And then they might press follow, and then they might see a few more of your posts. They might start seeing your Instagram stories. They're starting to see more and more of you. Maybe then they sign up to your email newsletter. What does your email newsletter look like? What does the header look like? Then maybe they sign up to a freebie. What does that freebie look like? Is that feeling really branded? I'm going to get into why I'm asking you this in a moment. And then maybe they sign up to a wait list for a program. And then maybe they sign up to your program, or they start purchasing your product, or maybe they participate in one of your services. And then once they're in your service or purchased your program, what does it feel like then to interact with you? Is there still these beautiful graphics that they're getting? Is there a great workbook, or is there a great invoice? Is there a great flyer? Is there great emails that they get? And then when they finish, what's the process then look like? Do they get a little thank you card? Do they get like a conclusion pack from working with you. And then after they finish working with you, like, are you sending them a questionnaire, and does that look branded? And then there's this whole customer journey with every single one of our clients and customers that we can really, really, really make more beautiful, make more unique, make more considered. And the thing is when you've actually considered the whole customer journey, you can make sure that it's really beautiful and consistent and cohesive. Because when you have a visual brand that's hitting every single touch point of your client, so what I mean is every single step that I said just then has a visual element to it. Whether it's your Instagram, that's obvious, the visual element that's there. Then your Instagram stories, are they visually representing your brand? Then your email newsletter, is that visually representing your brand? Then your freebie, is that visually representing your brand? Or the landing page or the sales page of your business, is that visually well representing your brand? And then once they go into working with you, is the workbooks, is the invoices, is the video thumbnails, whatever it is, does every single touch point of working with you feel consistent, feel considered, feel like that you actually care about them on the journey of being a customer with you? One of my coach, for example, she has a really beautiful brand. That would be bragging a little bit because I made her brand. But her brand is beautiful and it's really considered across every touch point. Like when you go to her, I'll put a slide up here if you're watching on YouTube, but when you go to her Instagram or you get a Facebook ad, that might be your first touch point, and then you move across to the next step of like maybe joining a Facebook group or purchasing or grabbing one of her freebies, and then you might take part in a little free challenge, and then you might take part in and join one of her programs, her coaching programs. And then when you join that, you get like a little welcome gift that's still really, really branded. And when you join her course, it's all really branded. Every single touch point is branded. It means it's saying to the customer subconsciously, hey, I really care about you and I care about this journey and I want it to make sense for you. I want it to be clean. I want it to be considered. I want you to see that actually I've considered every part of this journey and it's so intentional. And obviously, whether or not you've got something beautifully branded, hopefully you're doing those things. You've considered every part of the journey and it's getting really intentional. But when the graphics back that up, it really just shows that you've really considered that journey. Sometimes you join a program or a course and it just looks so different once you get into the course because they're actually like, well, I've got you in here, you're paying now. I don't really care about making it look pretty. And it's like, okay, come on. Can't this really just be a beautiful journey? Because now that I'm paying for you, shouldn't it be even more of a beautiful journey or even more of a considered journey? And so thinking through, how can I step through the steps of my customer journey and make sure it just feels really considered and cohesive, and that every touch point is part of a beautiful customer journey, shows that your customer that you care about them. And when they feel that you care about them, they are far more likely to rave about you to their friends and their family. Therefore, you're getting more clients through word of mouth, and word of mouth is the best form of advertising. Plus, you might get a return customer or client. I've worked with my coach for like 3 years in a row because I love the experience of working with her. Obviously, I'm not just basing that on the graphics. You've got to have the whole kit and caboodle, but the graphics are a part of it. The graphics are part of the package. The graphics help to just excite the customer and make them feel nurtured. And like there've been times where I've clicked on someone's Facebook ad, for example, and it goes to their landing page or their business, or I click on their Instagram and then I click over to their website, and their website looks totally different to the Instagram. And part of me is just looking at that thinking, have I clicked the right page? Have I accidentally clicked the wrong link and now I'm on someone different's website? Like, it just doesn't make sense to me as a customer journey. And so you want your customer to have a seamless journey, a journey where they're not thinking at all, am I on the wrong place? Is this the right person to work with? The whole time they're just like, does it make sense? And they just take the next step because it makes sense and it's clear and considered. So to do that, to have this consistency, you need to create what's called a brand style guide. If you've been listening to my content for a while, you'll know that I love to talk about this. But in essence, we want you to make yourself a set of rules around what your visuals should look like. This means you're not getting distracted by all the random pretty things out there. You're not just doing this and then trying that and then trying something different. Then, oh, that's a cute Canva template, or that's a cute color, or that's a cute element, and playing with it. It means you're being really consistent in the way your graphics look. This will help with that really cohesive and consistent and really stable client journey, so that your customer and client is feeling really nurtured and like it makes sense and like it's really professional and considered and thought through, and like it's not just on a whim idea. I've thought about this, even if it's on a whim idea. Sometimes I've had an idea in the morning and then have it actioned and out into the world by the evening. It's still considered, but because I've got consistent graphics through it, it looks even more considered than it actually was. And so thinking those things through. So make yourself a style guide that has your brand colors, have a little color palette for yourself, your brand fonts, your brand logos. But more than that, what different brand elements are you going to use? What different styles are you going to use? What are your graphics going to look like? Are they minimal, or are they bold and collagey? Or are they like really feminine, or are they really masculine? Like, you could have the same color palette but have a really feminine versus masculine brand depending on the fonts that you use and the styles that you use. Or you could have a really bright color palette and still have a minimal brand, or you have a bright color palette and really have a really bold and creative brand. you need to make sure you're actually thinking about what's the overall style here, not just the fonts and colors. And then once you do those things, that journey is, your visuals are so much easier to apply across everything so that your graphics are looking in that consistent piece. All right. So point number 2 to getting your brand making you more money in your business is to really deep dive into how your brand comes across. When someone comes to your Instagram or is given you a flyer or goes to your website or walks into your shop, whatever it is, when they're first experiencing you visually, what do they feel? What kind of values come across? What kind of price point are they assuming that you're going to be? You can imagine that if you have a brand that looks really premium, when you ask for a $2,000 price tag, they're going to be like, meh, makes sense. They might not be willing to pay that depending on where they are in their life and their circumstances, but it makes sense. They're not like, oh my gosh, I never saw that coming. We can really start to actually convey what our brand is about, our price point, and all these things through the way that our business looks. You've probably seen this example before that I've shared, but I'm going to pop on the screen now if you're watching the YouTube video, 2 examples of pizza menus. And you'll see that this one here is really yellow and bright, and it kind of just it assumes that the pizza is going to be a quite cheap and affordable pizza. But this one on the other side is kind of really black and it's minimal and it's clean, and you'd probably assume you're going to be paying more premium price for that pizza. And the same thing can be done in our own businesses. How can we portray our value through the way that our graphics look? And beyond that, how can we portray what we value as a business, or what we prioritize, or how we want people to feel? Like for a day spa, they want people to feel really calm and nurtured, so they're going to use probably calm and nurturing colors. Or for me and my brand, I want people to feel really playful and fun and motivated, and so I use really playful, fun and motivating colors. And so we can actually really consider this price point and this value. And it means that when someone comes to work with us, it just clicks, it just makes sense, it just feels like home, or it doesn't feel like home when they move away from us because that we're not the right business for them. And so this really helps us to make more money because people are ready to pay the price that you're offering, because your branding says that. Your branding portrays that value. Whether you're an affordable business or whether you're a more premium product or service, you can portray that value through your offering. You can really call people in to want to work with you because they're like, yeah, I'm really getting bored in my business at the moment, or things just don't seem very fun. I feel like I'm not really representing myself. And that's where I step in and I say, hey, you know what? Business can actually be fun. We can actually enjoy this process. You can actually infuse yourself into your business. Come and work with me. And my branding subtly says those things, because did you know that visuals communicate 60,000 times faster than words? And so that means that when someone sees your business, what they see visually before they even begin to read a single word is communicating how great you are, or what you're about, or your value, or all these different things. And so think through, how am I communicating to my audience? When they first see me, what are they assuming? What are they assuming about the kind of business that I am? What they can get out of working with me? Can they get that motivation, or can they get that nurtured feeling, or can they get that support? What do you want to give your audience, and how can you communicate that visually? What is your price point, and how can you communicate that visually? Because I can guarantee that if you are an upmarket business, if you're charging $2,000 per hour for a coaching service, but your branding looks really cheap and crappy, people are less likely to want to work with you, because it just doesn't click, it doesn't make sense, it doesn't feel like that business. They're like, oh, I'm so excited to work with them, I'm going to save up my pennies to work with this organization, because it's just really luxurious and branded and professional. Whereas if your branding is looking really cheap and put together, then and just, here's some ideas, put it out into the world, do you want to buy me? Like it feels really desperate, it feels really unconsidered, it feels really just unprofessional and less likely people to want to work with you. Think about, how can I really portray my business's value and my business's values through my graphics, and really make those decisions really easy for my audience, really make what I'm about really obvious to my audience, and make my price point really accessible and really understandable, and make my price point make sense to my audience, that when I'm charging a lot, they're willing to pay it. Or when I'm charging a little, it makes sense and they're drawn to me because I'm a more affordable product or service. It works both ways. If you're a premium product, don't look like an affordable cheap service or product. And if you're a cheap product or service, don't look like a really premium product or service. It needs to make sense to people, because then the right people will be drawn to you and then be willing to pay what you are offering. Step number 3 to getting your brand to making more money is to finesse your layout. Design is more than prettiness. You can actually use design to communicate your message professionally, clearly, and so it makes sense to your audience. And so think through every single graphic that you create. I want you to stop and think, all right, what is the value? What is the message? What am I trying to communicate through this graphic? Have I got a service or offering that I'm trying to communicate? Am I introducing myself? Am I sharing a quote or a tip? what is the key message I'm trying to communicate, and how can I make sure my graphic is communicating that clearly? Because when our graphics communicate really clearly what we're trying to say, it means that one, it captures people's attention because it's relevant to them. It means that when they're scrolling their social media feed, instead of scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and just scrolling straight on past your graphic, they're actually stopping because your message is communicating your message clearly. Your graphics are communicating your message clearly. For example, if you're sharing an offering and you're sharing a tip, say you're sharing a tip on how to help mums take 5 minutes for themselves today. If you did a post and you did like 4 tips on that graphic, but the 4 tips were all really large and you couldn't actually even see the heading of how to create time for yourself today as a mum, then people aren't going to know what the 4 tips are about. They're going to say, oh, why would I don't know what the tips would be. Why would I put my phone on silent for half an hour? That doesn't make any sense to me. But when they see that's how they can get themselves time as a mum, and so mum and self-care and stuff are the words that stand out, that's going to help someone to actually be drawn to your post and for it to stand out in the scroll. Whereas if you've got lots of text that's the same size, or you're not getting people to be drawn into your graphic through using a large heading that's got words that are relevant to your audience, then they're going to scroll past because it's not relevant to them. And so you can actually use layout and graphic design principles to get people to want to stop on your designs, to get people to actually see what you're trying to communicate, to get people to actually not even just stop, but secondly, to take action, to actually make it through your whole post. There's so many times I will stop at like a headline and think, I'm not that interested to read the rest, or it's not really that easy to read the rest. Sometimes the text is too small. Sometimes there's not enough contrast in the foreground and the background, so the text is hard to read. Sometimes people choose really unreadable fonts. And all of those things are contributing to me as a consumer not actually reading their post. And if I'm not reading your whole post, I'm not either understanding your offer or I'm not getting value out of your post. Therefore, I'm not forming connection with your post and your business, and therefore I'm less likely to purchase from you. And so you can use design to make sure that you're actually making strategic decisions around getting people to stop and then getting people to read what you have to say, making sure that your designs are readable, making sure you're taking them on a visual journey through your post that I could talk about hierarchy and this concept for hours and balance and making things stand out. But my point of what I'm trying to say is you can actually utilize design to make incredible leaps and bounds in your business, to actually capture attention, to take people on a journey and to convert them to actually wanting to purchase from you because they're getting value from you, they're understanding what you're about, and they're building a trust with you because they're spending time on your content and on your content. There's not much more to it than that. And so I really want you to focus on how can I use design to bring forth my value, to make my value obvious and to stand out and to capture my audience's attention. Use principles like hierarchy by having large headings, by having headings that stand out, by having keywords that are even highlighted or circled or larger than others, using text that's really readable, using smaller text and larger text in contrast, so that there's not all this overwhelming design to look at. So many different things that you can consider and utilize with design. And I want to mention here before I get to my 4th point that if you are actually looking for help to do these things, to actually get someone looking at your exact content and your exact business, then I have a program that I actually work with you to do that. It's called the Co-Creation Club, and I actually work with you to design your graphics. You don't have to just think, oh, I've got to use hierarchy and how do I make this stand out and is this even readable and I don't understand, and get all yourself in knots. I want to help you and actually look at your graphics and help you make those decisions and actually make those decisions for you. You and I will actually work on Canva designs together, live in group calls. You and I will actually have a thread where you can actually post a design and I'll comment back with you with a Loom video where I'll actually step you through the changes that I'm making and why. And you're going to have a really great graphic that you know is approved by a designer that you can then post and know that it's going to work to communicate your value, to transition people from seeing you on a scroll to wanting to work with you or purchase your product or service. Anyway, I'll talk about more about that at the end, but I just want to let you know in case you tune out by the end, the doors are open right now, but they're closing very soon. They're closing in less than 2 weeks now. This is the last time I'm running it for this year. And so this is your final chance to actually work closely with me on your brand. All right, let's now get to point number 4 on how you can use good branding and good design to make you more money in your business. And that is by making sure that your designs don't just look like every other Canva template. Nothing hits unprofessional and a little bit amateur more than your designs looking exactly like everyone else's. Your designs looking like a classic Canva template that is like the first one that it gets offered every time you go into Canva. It just looks, and like it's good that you're using templates. I'm all for using templates. I think that they're a really great way to help to speed up the design process, to make sure the designs have got a good foundation, because Canva templates often have a good foundation to start with. Not always. You really do have to use your discretion here at making sure that there's good hierarchy and good balance and all those things. But in essence, so many times I see people just getting a Canva template and then using it. They're not using what we learned in step 1 of actually taking their branding and applying that so it looks unique to them. It looks like their own business. And the hard thing is about Canva templates and any templates in general, and not just Canva templates that you find in Canva, but Canva templates you might purchase from elsewhere, or if you're doing your design not in Canva, any template. The hard thing to do is actually take your content and apply it really well to the template in a way that looks unique, in a way that actually makes sense. Like if you find a template but it's got the wrong amount of information on it, then you have to kind of try to rearrange things. And in that process of rearranging things, you're kind of butchering the design. It looks even worse than when you started, and it's not actually communicating your value. It's not communicating your professionalism. It's not communicating what your point even is, because you've gotten all muddled up and you've forgotten to think about the hierarchy and think about what's going to stand out to people in their scroll. All these different things culminate together, and when you're putting out Canva templates and designs that are subpar, they're not noticing, oh wow, I'm so excited to work with this business. They're noticing, oh, that doesn't look so great, I'm going to keep on scrolling. Or, is that the Canva template I used last week? That's a little bit, they're just a little, it doesn't look like sometimes we just want to make sure that we look like this really professional business that is like super big and is like got the money for this in-house designer that is making all of these unique custom designs for us. But reality is, a lot of the times us small business owners don't have the money for an in-house designer to do all these graphics for us. And that's why we use programs like Canva to help us do those things. But learning to really, really apply design principles to these Canva templates, learning to apply your own branding to these Canva templates, and learning to strip away the things that are in the Canva template, keep the actual structure of it, but then reapply your branding over the top of that, will make your designs look so much more unique. Will make you look like you've got this in-house designer working for you, doing all these cool things and making you look like you're a professional business that's actually really, really big. And when we do those things, our branding looks so considered. It looks like we are a professional brand that's, whether we're a little side hustle or whether we're a little business that's only working, like for me, I only work a couple days a week and I'm in the office in my house. But the way that my branding looks makes me look like I've got like this giant team, makes me look like I actually work 24/7, makes me look like I'm not just a mum working on nap times and when my parents babysit. Like, how can you look more professional and more exciting and bigger than you are? Not because we want to trick people, because it makes people want to trust us more. So those are the 4 different ways and the 4 things that I take every single one of my students through. And so like in the Co-Creation Club, we start with that step 1 of working out their branding, working out their consistency, and step 2 of really working out what do I want my business to represent, and what price point do I want my business to represent, and how can I really show that consistently to my audience so that they're just so ready to pay my value, so ready to work with me because they connect with my business's values. And how can I finesse my layout? Like the benefit, like I can teach you, hierarchy and balance. But until you actually work with someone like me where I could actually show you how they apply to your business graphics, it makes things click. The amount of times I've shown my lessons to people and they're like, cool, that really makes a lot of sense. And it does help them. I know that it helps them. But there's a next level where when I actually say, this is your piece of hierarchy, have you thought about that? Or this is the way you need to rearrange this text for it to make sense. Or you've done half of this work, but actually if you make this a little bit smaller and this a little bit bigger and highlight this word, it's going to make such a big difference to your graphics. And that's where the real learning happens. That's where things start to click for your own business. And if you're really ready to say yes to, you know what, I do want to have these really great graphics for my business. You know what, I do want to have a business that calls in more money, calls in more clients because it looks professional, because it looks considered, because my work is standing out, because my graphics make sense to people, my graphics are forming trust with my audience, then I want to help you. And so if you're ready to join the Co-Creation Club, you don't even have to feel ready. If you're interested in it, head to DIYdesignmybiz.com/club and you can have a read there. You can view lots of testimonials. You can view how it works. Pretty much for 10 weeks, you and I are going to work on your business and your brand with a small group of other business owners where you can feel inspired. The amount of momentum that you gain, the amount of inspiration you gain, the amount of, I feel like I'm stuck on this Canva design. I feel like I'm stuck on this offering for my business and I can't put it out yet and I just don't know what to do. I help you overcome that. I help you overcome every single obstacle that you face with your business's graphics, with Canva, with trying to work out what your brand should be. And we make steps steps forward and we work together on whatever you need for your business, whether that's social templates, whether that's a flyer, whether that's a podcast logo, or whether that's your whole brand, whether that's a course or an offering you have coming out and you've got all the pieces of collateral to make. I want to step you through that and do that with you and co-create together. And so the doors are open for the final time for 2023. I only run this program very rarely because it's a big outgoing for me, but I want to make sure that I give my all to my students. And so if you want to be one of my students for this round, you can be absolutely anywhere in the world. I've got students already from the US. I've had students from Thailand and New Zealand and Australia and all these different areas. And so I would love to have you too. Doors are closing soon. Please make sure you have a look at this. Just have a read of the sales page. And if you've got any questions, chuck me a message on Instagram, comment on this video, send me an email, whatever you want to do to get in touch. I want to help you work out if the Co-Creation Club is the right step for your business, because when you feel empowered to create your own graphics, there is nothing that can stop you from putting out that new offering, from connecting with more clients, from drawing in the right people to want to work with you, to having a professional brand that looks like you have the money for an in-house designer, but actually you're doing all this yourself and it's not taking you anywhere near as long as it used to. It's something that looks really professional and really great, and it's something you actually enjoy. It's something that you feel connected with because you've put yourself into your brand and you're putting that into the world. And so thank you for joining me for this episode. I will see you again next week for another episode, and until then, thanks for listening. Thanks for being here. I so appreciate you, and I hope that these episodes have been helpful for you and spur you on and excite you that your business and your brand can be something that you love and can be something that actually works to grow your business. So I'll see you next week. Bye.